Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now I'm just going to show you around some of the equipment levels on the Q6. It's taken me a little while to find my way around it, but yeah, it's a bit complicated inside. But let me show you around some of the equipment levels on this, as it is quite different to the Etron 55 that I used to have, and quite different to the Q8 that I had borrowed. So I'll show you what comes on this car, and I'll point out what I've got as an optional extra. So one of the first things to point out as I come up to the car is that it has keyless entry. So you get quite a smart key, and I have got keyless entry on that. This is standard across the range. As I said, this is a Sport Quattro, and keyless entry comes as standard. So you don't need to touch anything. There is a little touch here, but it just should be just a touch on the handle and the thing should unlock. There are puddle lights, but what would be nice, and it isn't there, is lighting in the door handles, and also my Hyundai that I had a long time ago, Hyundai, however you say it these days, the puddle lights used to come on as you approach the car with the keyless entry. That doesn't seem to happen on the Audi, but you never know, that might change with software, or maybe there's a setting that I need to find. So one thing to take note of is the seats are manual on Sport Quattros, or Sports and S-Lines, but you do get the Sport seat across the range. All the window controls have moved down here to the door. You used to get a separate button on the Etron 55 for heated mirrors, but they're now linked to the rear window demist, so that is a small change. The window controls are there. They seem to be auto on both sides as well. The door handle is also hidden in here. The door opens really wide, so if you've got short arms and you're trying to shut the door, it's a hell of a stretch to reach hold of that door handle, as you can see how wide that door opens. There's also a B mode on the drive. Now, if you've got a Q4, you'll be familiar with that. Same on my brother's ID Buzz. But the B mode is kind of one pedal braking. I've certainly noticed the regen braking on this is much stronger in this car than on the Etron 55. But I also thought it was a bit stronger on the Q8 as well compared to the older Etron. You can see on the steering wheel, once again, you've got the flappy paddles. So you can add regen with 1 or 2 clicks on this if you're doing things manually, and you can release the regen with the right hand paddle. That I do like that, especially if you're rolling downhill, one little click will bring it in automatically. And this of course has the adaptive regen. So if you've got a car fairly close in front that's slowing down, if you're coming up to a junction or a roundabout, this puts on a little bit of regen braking for you. That's a feature I really like in that adaptive mode, but I understand that a lot of people rather have their full manual control. And of course, if you're pushing the brake pedal gently, you're going to get regen rather than friction braking anyway. Now I've sat down in the car. It turns on automatically. There's no need to press that stop start button. You get in the car, you put your weight of your bum in the seat, and the car just turns on straight away for you. It also, you can see here on the climate control, not only has it got heated front seats, but that temperature control on the left side is greyed out compared to the one on the right, because the car has already detected that there is no one in that passenger seat, so it's not put the air ventilation on that side. And that's the same at the back. They've got their own heating control. It's a 3-zone system. Climate controls, the auto mode, you can now vary between different settings within auto, which you couldn't do on the old car. You can turn the AC on and off, and then there is the air conditioning menu in here. And I'm just leaving things in eco mode, is what I used to do. Next to it, you can see a button for the heated steering wheel. There's another one of those on the steering wheel itself. So the old Etron never had a heated steering wheel apart from on some of the top of the range cars and the Q8. So again, another little touch that wasn't fitted before. Safety wise, this thing has got everything that you've ever seen. Now the old Etron 55 had the autonomous braking, but this now has the Audi side assist, which is the blind spot monitoring. It's got the lane keeping system, which is quite effective, and I don't find that it wrestles you like the old Etron 55 on a country road. That used to be quite strong, and it used to kind of fight it, but this one on this Q6 just seems to be a little bit nicer. And there is a button on the end of the indicator stalk, and you can just turn it off really, really easily if you want to get rid of that lane keep assist. On top of that, now with the parking system, if I just bring up the parking cameras, we've got the cameras there, you've got the different views. If I pop it into reverse, actually you'll see how things go. You've got the guidance lines, you've got proximity shading going on, you've got the parking sensors. It now gives you a distance, which is quite nice, and you've got the different camera views that you can select. What you can't do, which I had on the Etron 55 with the optional pack with the 360 cameras, is bring up an external view of the car and then spin it around on here, which was utterly unnecessary. But having the 360 camera as standard is really good. I've just been watching Matt Watson on CarWow in a Q4, and although it was a £60,000 Q4 with loads of kit on it, it only had the basic reversing camera, no 360 camera. So really nice to see the 360 cameras on the Q6. My old Etron 55 had basic cruise control. This one has got adaptive cruise control, so it'll set the distance to the car in front and it'll maintain that quite well. Also, the speed limiter has got an auto mode, so if you press the speed limiter here on the top, that will read the traffic signs and the speed limit information from the sat nav, and it will automatically set the speed limiter according to the speed limits. What's a bit odd though is the adaptive cruise. If you're on, say, a 70 dual carriage when you come into a 50 zone, it doesn't pick that up. If you had the speed limiter on, it would force the car to slow down, but when you're in adaptive cruise, it just carries on past at 70, and I can't find any settings to engage a kind of automatic speed control when on adaptive cruise. It does mention it in the manual, so I've got a feeling an upcoming software update might change that. Headlight controls are fully automatic. You've got front fog lights, or all weather lights as Audi likes to call it. You've got the rear fog lights down there as well. The mirrors are heated and folding. And one thing I do like is the child locks on the door controls here. I think that's a nice touch, because having to do it manually can be a bit awkward. You end up turning them on because you've got young kids in the car, and then someone else gets in the car. You've got to remember to disconnect them or turn them off, or get out to let them out of the car. So it's really nice to be able to do it electronically from in the front here. Entertainment wise, you've got the full kind of FM DAB radio, you've got built-in wireless Apple CarPlay, you've got Android Auto, you can run the telephone instead of through CarPlay through the normal Audi system. You've got very simple controls to set up your charging with a limit, which I set to 80, but I'm going to top this up to 100. We've got a long drive coming up. You can set schedules for the heating and departure times for the climate. You can precondition the car. You can set the preconditioning on all sorts of settings that comes on when you unlock. There's all sorts of settings that you can go through here. There is a lot that you can do to customize things. You can modify your display brightness. There is a lot that is on this. One thing I do like is the steering wheel customization. There is a little star button on the steering wheel down here. Now, I had this on the old Etron 55, but the nice thing with this is that I can choose to set that for different things. I used to have it for the sat nav on off with the voice on the old car, but because this one will now beep at me if I exceed the speed limit, I can actually set it just to kind of silence that, but I still get a visual warning just to remind me to protect my license. One thing I absolutely loved on my old Etron 55 was the virtual cockpit, this display in front of the driver, but it's really different on this car. If I just press up the view, that will vary a little bit according to the drive select modes. So I'm just, at the moment it's in balance. If I switch it over to dynamic or efficiency, it does change the displays a little bit. But as you can see, I've got a speedo there. Now on the left side, I can set the controller to the left with this button, and then I can switch through the different modes. So long term, and short-term efficiency. I'll be doing a long drive tonight, and we can go through some different stuff on that with reporting efficiency. But as you can see, a lot better than the old Etron 55, and the Q8 gave me the same efficiency as the old car. So this is quite a significant step up. And then if I swap through, you can just see there's different functions on the trip. Still finding my way around this stuff. There we go, you've got different trips, and then you've got a regeneration, or you can just look at your current efficiency on a drive. You've always got the range down there and the battery percentage as well, which is good. And then on the other side, used to get that arc for the power available, which was a little bit pointless. That's now just come down to a simple bar, but again, that changes depending on your drive mode. And you can see that I've got main beam auto. So the headlights are quite different. This car is really, really well equipped. The old Etron 55 just had basic headlights, and then you could add functions to it through the functions store. If you've got an S-Line or a black or a Vorsprung, you would get more and more headlight functions as standard, and higher up the range, you got full matrix. On the Q8, you could have full matrix as well. On the Audi app, the function store let me add some of the things that this has. So it's got what they call motorway light, which just changes the range of low beam. This one has a cornering light function on it, so when I turn the wheel, it throws a little bit of light out to the side. That's better on this than on the previous car. And it's got an automatic high beam assist as standard, which I do find a nice touch. The LED headlights, they're really bright. They are absolutely brilliant. The Edition ones come with the matrix function, but this car and the S-Lines don't come with matrix as standard. Now on the old Etron 55 Technic, what I could do was go through the Audi function store, pay £40 a month or like 195 for 6 months, and that would give me matrix function. So I used to do 6 months through the winter because it was quite expensive, but I put it on for the winter. On this car, it's £10 a month to add matrix. I've got this car on a 3.5-year lease. So what I've done is I've gone 3 years of matrix for £255. So I've paid for it, and the matrix function on this is absolutely brilliant. It seems to have more definition and more zones and be faster responding than on the old car, and the lights are lovely and bright. So very, very pleased with the headlights on this. The right hand display, again, if I switch across to bring up the right hand control, I've then got different options with radio, the telephone connection, the navigation. What you don't get on this car, because I think I've got the head-up display on this and it's stopping it, is I can't put the navigation information as a moving map in front of me from the sat-nav. What I do get if I'm in Audi navigation is the map, the next directions, next turn information comes up where it says navigation. And if I'm in Apple CarPlay, bizarrely I get the Apple CarPlay map on the right hand side with a map, but I can't bring up the kind of sat nav in front of me like I had on the previous car. Not really necessary on this one because I have the sound and vision pack, which gives me the head-up display, which is going to be nigh on impossible to film, but I will tell you a bit more about that. So most cars, I think all cars come with some kind of wraparound LED interior lighting, but this one has the sound and vision pack. So that includes Bang & Olufsen audio, which is, it's not great on the radio if you listen to DAB radio, especially music stations, not just the talk radio that I've got it tuned into right now. But if you've got Apple CarPlay and you're streaming music, the audio quality is really lovely. It's got great bass on it. It is absolutely superb. I was listening to some Becky Hill singing her heart out, and yeah, it is a really, really nice audio system on this. You also get interior lighting. So if I press menu, car, light, and then go to interior lighting, you can just change the interior themes. You can put different colours on. You'll see a little bit of a glow going on there around the car. I leave it in the drive select. It's quite nice with the standard red. You get a red glow out from under here. You get white just below that windscreen, which is a bit of a shame because one thing I don't want to be doing is looking past white or blue light because that affects your night vision. And then you get colour with a kind of pool of light coming down within the door, and you get a little bit of lighting come up as well. So it is a really nice interior lighting effect. with the Sound of Vision pack, you get all these different colours, but that bar across the headlight there, across the bottom of the windscreen, that's interactive. So if I put an indicator on at night, so I'm going to force the headlights on just to hopefully it'll demonstrate it. If I put the indicator on, you can now see there's an indicator flashing inside. If I'm charging, it acts like a giant kind of battery meter, and it gets green further across the windscreen as it fills up the battery, and you can see the streaming kind of battery going in to kind of fill that. Because I've got the side assist, the blind spot monitoring, it flashes red in here if I put the signal on, if there's something next to me, and then you get a rapidly flashing light just inside the mirror, so that protects as well. I haven't heard an audio warning on that yet, but that might happen if I get something wrong on a junction. Now the head-up display, I'm going to just see if I can bring up anything. If I just pop it into drive, you can see it flashes up, but just in front of me you might be able to see a 0 for my speed and the 30 speed limit there. You also get junction information. You can set it up for if you're too close to the guy in front, if you should be lifting off for efficiency assist. And the sat-nav throws arrows up there, and it lays the arrows over the kind of road or lane that you want to be in, because it's got this augmented reality system in it. It really looks like the sign is like a car length in front of this car. It threw me a little bit to start with, because when I was driving the car, it's kind of, you've got something moving in the screen that you're not used to seeing, but it is there, and I really like it now. So I very rarely look down at this MMI. And what I tend to do is just to kind of declutter it and get rid of some of all the information coming at me, because, you know, I fly a modern Airbus aircraft, which has got a very complex cockpit system on it, and there's a lot of information going on, but I find this thing almost too much. So I use that view button just to cut down some of the stuff on the right hand screen. Coming over to the left screen, you've got a lot of information that can be brought up on this. So the climate is fixed along the bottom, which is a nice feature. Some cars have fixed buttons. Our Fiat does, our electric Fiat, which is good. But this is really nice. You can go straight into the search function on it, and it will take you straight over to the main sat-nav screen. But if I were back on the home screen and I just wanted to zoom, I've got no kind of zoom control on it other than the button. There is a second screen which will give me my drive modes, and then I can turn the automatic regen on and off as well. So there's a lot going on here. If I show you on some of the sat-nav stuff, there are a few differences on this, but I'm finding my way around them. The search facility is just as good as it used to be. Some of my more recent destinations. A lot of those carried over with my Audi account. You can set stuff into favourites. You can easily bring up looking for chargers. Now it tells you on here how many chargers there are and how much availability there is, whereas previously you could do it by pressing the information, but then it wouldn't tell you because it said this facility is not available when you're moving. So you kind of had to do it, plan stuff when you were stationary, and then go, rather than have this live information of availability for charging stops and things like that. This all is super responsive, moves around really nicely. You've got the classic modes of car up, 3D, north up. Yeah, I guess it's me, but I like to have that one north up, and then I use the head-up display, or on the old car I used to have the MMI with the direction that I was facing. So with it focused on where we are, you've got your zoom, which can be auto or not. If I just put a destination in, that's the last long drive I did, was up to Richmond. So it's just popped that in straight away. It already shows kind of the favourites that I've got programmed in. I'll just knock the screen there, it's just super responsive. As you drive, it will show you the chargers and the service areas that you go past. And then down here, I've got the choice on the zoom. So you can have an auto zoom effect. You can manually set it to whatever you would like it to be. But again, if you press it again, you get the overlay. Now, you used to get the overlay up here on the old car, but on this car, the overlay now shows you to your next charging stop that it has planned. If I was to put in a longer trip, this should go straight through to the route planner. So I will say, let's take it down to my next ski trip. And again, it has planned in, it's gone through much quicker. It wants to take me to the tunnel. It's showing me Ionity charger, Ionity charger, Ionity charger, and then one last top up at an Audi charger before we get down to Leger, which is next to Morzine. It's worked through that very quickly. You can see how quick the charging stops would be on that trip. It's worked it all out really nicely. So yeah, that's very quick and very responsive. Certainly the old car would replan this as my efficiency varied on the way. So yeah, that looks pretty good to me. And not just that, but now it tells me that I would get to the next charging stop with 10% of battery. Oh, that might be my final destination, 10% of battery, and it's 742 miles away. So yeah, this would be easy on a long trip. I know from the old software it really did look after you, and it was very good. Because I've got the head-up display, I don't really need the voice coming at me all the time, unless I'm in a kind of built-up area and I've got a lot more information to take in. So you can now turn the voice on, off, or back on just with the button on the screen. Because this has the sound and vision pack, the speaker for the sat-nav can be put through my headrest, so I can kind of hear it really clearly when there's other noise in the car, which is good. So I hope you found some of that useful. I know it's a bit dry as a video, just trying to show you around some of the bits in the car rather than talking about how I feel about the car and how I'm getting on with it. Yeah, I'm very pleased with it so far, but I just wanted to show you some of the information. So the old Etron 55 was really poorly equipped. You know, Audis generally don't come with a lot of stuff, but this Q6 is really well loaded up. You know, keyless entry, the built-in nav system, the wireless CarPlay, you know, the side assists, the actually rear cross traffic alert. Someone walked across the back of the car when I was reversing into parking space the other day, and it put the brakes on and stopped the car for me. So that, the autonomous braking worked in reverse as well. That was quite impressive. You know, this is a really highly spec'd up car. It's got everything on it that my old Hyundai had, apart from the puddle lights were kind of coming on as you walk up to the car, which would be a nice touch. But maybe the software is going to change on that. It should do over-the-air software updates, at least that's what I was told. But I am told that software 3.1 is available, and that is a dealer job to have it installed. So I'll be ringing Audi this afternoon, get the car booked in for a software update. I've got a couple of other niggles. I'll make a separate video about those, just on some of the stuff with the car that I'm not quite sure is right. But everything else seems really good, and I'm very pleased with this choice so far. Please hit subscribe. I'll do some kind of range and efficiency information as I get to use the car and I get a view of what is more typical on this. What I can say is the battery on this is about 10% bigger than the old Etron 55. That had 86 usable, this has got 95. But that of course is not as much as a Q8 55, which has about 107 usable. The efficiency on this though is better. I've averaged about 2.8 so far. Yesterday was a dad's taxi run. It was over to my daughter's school, onto piano lessons, from piano over to dance, back home, grab a bite to eat, then back out to dance, collect her, bring her home again. She has a busy Thursday. Now in all of that, I averaged 3.0, and I think the old car would have seen nearer 2.5. So yeah, quite a step up on efficiency. Combine that with the bigger battery, you certainly will get a lot more range out of this than the old car. But let's wait and see. Tonight I'm up to Hemel Hempstead. I've got to stay in a hotel, then from the hotel to the ski centre tomorrow morning, and then from the ski centre back down here for out in the evening. So I'm going to plug this in again, take it up to 100%, just ready for our departure time, and I'll let you know how the efficiency goes on that long drive. So please hit subscribe to the channel. Love to get my subscriber count up. That's going to help me out a lot. And yeah, I hope you find this information useful. If coming from a Q4, let me know what you think about the Q6. And if, like me, you're coming from an Etron 55 and you're considering one of these, then yeah, feel free, ask any questions, and I will do my best to answer in the comments. Thanks again for tuning in. So once again, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you all soon with some longer trip information and some range and efficiency stuff.